Hi, welcome to another episode of the Bonsai Stuff podcast. I'm Scott Martin from Bonsai Matsu, and I'll be your host for this podcast. Thanks for listening in. As always, it's great. It's a lovely time of year. There's a lot going on around Australia. Major football codes, grand finals, winners, losers, lots of fun, lots of enjoyment. End of seasons, which is always a sad time, but we'll start again. Daylight savings, love it. It's for those of us that get it in Australia. It's one of my favourite times. Day seems to be just a little bit longer than what it was yesterday, which is really nice. So I'm looking forward to that because that means a lot more evening walks around the yard and the collection, and a lot more daylight for us. It's great. You look at the daylight hours now. We've got more sunshine, more daylight hours than what we do night hours. So things are growing like crazy in your yard. It should be a frantic time. You should hear the trees pushing growth as you walk around the yard, because I know there's lots of green bins getting filled at my place with lots of pruning that's happening and pinching and all that sort of stuff. So it's really good. So part of this episode of the podcast, I want to talk about what to do when something goes wrong. A common question I get asked is, what's wrong with my bonsai? And I just want to run through the steps that I take and what I encourage you to do too, as a sort of a checklist, I suppose, and things you should do and things you shouldn't do, just to sort of isolate things and just to maybe take the edge off it a little bit. It can be a very daunting time, spring. You expect certain things, or things have happened a certain way for so long with your bonsai. And then when something doesn't, when something goes amiss, or it misfires, or there's an issue, then it can be a really, really scary time. And I just wanted to run through that and sort of put some minds at ease, and also give you an action plan for it as well. So, and I want to talk about being in the moment with your trees. So we'll cover off all that in this podcast. So stick around. What's wrong with my bonsai? The most common message that I get sent is, can you tell me what's wrong with my tree? And I get some photos, which is great. And I encourage you strongly that if you think something's wrong with your bonsai and you want to reach out to somebody, me, anyone else around the bonsai globe, then you should do it sooner rather than later. When it's too late, which is really common as well, it's too late. Things have taken a turn and you can't pull back from that stage. But I wanted to sort of put your minds at ease, I suppose, a little bit, saying don't always jump to the worst case scenario. If your pine needles are browning on the tips, the old needles, don't always think it's needle cast. The internet's a great place for information, but it can be scary as hell when you're researching this stuff. Just ask Dr. Google any of your symptoms. I woke up this morning with a bit of a dry throat. Oh, that's it. I'm counting down my last seconds. Whereas really, I probably was snoring in the middle of the night, and I've hurt my throat. A couple of coffees this morning, I'm back to fresh, back to good. So, just encourage you, just not to just to draw a breath, and just don't always think that this is the end and you've got some nasty bug or fungus or whatever it is, disease inside your tree that means that your entire bonsai collection is going to turn to rubbish and be in the fire before you realise it. So don't jump to the worst case scenario. There are definitely times when there are issues with our trees, which is why I think I do a lot of preventative maintenance with my trees, and also the pruning, which I bang on about opening up, letting sunlight and air in there, stopping things from getting too dense, can help a long way. The way you look after your bonsai and you manage them can really have a massive impact on these issues getting out of hand. Repotting on a frequent basis. Not every year, but you know what I mean. On that, not letting them go 10 years before they're repotted can certainly help a lot with the strength of the tree. And a lot of it comes down to strength issues. If you've just repotted your tree, maybe it hasn't been tied in as well as what it should have. There could be issues with your aftercare. Could be issues with maybe fertiliser burn based on the fertiliser you're using. It can be really simple little things that need to be corrected, and once they're corrected, then you can find that the tree will naturally get back onto the right course. Trees don't want to die. Our bonsai don't want to turn their heels up. You know, they're not delicate like that. They're strong. They're robust. They're designed to outlast time. You know, they want to live forever, as long as they can get what they need when they need it. And that's really the basic fundamental that I want to go through is steps you should take. Now, well, I say don't jump to the worst case scenario. I think the first step that I would encourage you to do is if you've got a tree where the foliage has come out and something's happened to it, it's burnt on the tips, it's gone black, it's looks funny colour, whatever it is, just isolate it. Just as a preventative, put it to a different area from where the rest of your trees are, and that's sort of step one. Then secondly, just go through and do the basics, check everything. And this the first question I ask is, how's your watering been? Has it been watered when it needs it? Has it got too much water? Has it got not enough water? Invariably, it comes back saying yes, no, the watering's been fine. But you've got most of the problems that you'll find with your trees stem from a watering issue, whether it be too much or too little. A lot of the time comes back to that, and that's really what you've got to try and manage yourself. You know, were there days where it got a bit hot, a bit dry, you're at work or you weren't available to water, and maybe the trees are a bit drier than what they should have been, and then a couple of days later that drying out has resulted in the tips of the tree dying off. That's really, really common on fresh, young, soft growth on our deciduous trees as they start to push at this time of year. And we are getting these. You do get fluctuations in temperature coming through the spring period. I mean, it's northern up midway through Australia in the New South Wales region, they've been copping a flogging of mid-30s, and we're not even a month into spring yet. So that can be a really common thing. Third thing I'd do when you're working through it with you as part of the basics check is just check the environment that the tree's in. Is there something else in that area that could have affected the tree? You know, is it environmental? If one side of the tree is damaged and the other side's fine, then that's something to do with the environment that the tree's in. It's not coming from within the tree and pushing out. The tree's not selecting, just one side of its foliage mass to be destroyed. It's something in that area. Is it radiant heat? Is it coming from the neighbours? Is it coming from maybe possum passing by over the top? Possum urine. I've had disastrous effects when they've got onto my trees and urinated on my trees, and I come out in the foliage after one day. He's basically dead, and they've killed trees, killed some of my younger maples, definitely by doing that. So if it's environmental, then you can fix that environment. You can move the tree from the position it's in, and I think that's really one of the best things that you can do is to have a hunt around and see if there is another place that you can put the tree, and just do everything the same way and just change the environment that the tree's in. It could be that the watering system that you've got in that area, one of the nozzles is partly blocked. And this is where it presents itself on your bonsai, but it might be anything but your bonsai that's causing the majority of your problems. And just a simple change can fix it. And this is where that daily walk around, the multiple daily walk around your trees and just having a quick look at them, if there are things starting to go wrong with it, like I talked about those the Australian native of mine a few episodes ago that started dropping needles. I should have picked up on that earlier. But that's the value of being out there all the time, or not all the time, but just on a regular basis with your trees and knowing your trees intimately, that you can look at them and you can identify and say, hey, that's starting to look a different colour, or that's starting to droop a little bit, or that doesn't look the way it looked yesterday. Something's not right with it. Bang, kick into action, start going through the basic checklist. Another thing that I'd look at too is changing something. If it, if the tree doesn't have sphagnum moss on it, blend up some sphagnum moss, put it through the sieve, make it nice and fine, and put a fine layer of sphagnum moss on there. Just change it. Yeah, it might not be part of what you do to look after your trees, but making a simple change like that might help protect those roots. It might, hold a bit more moisture. It might encourage more root growth. Therefore, the tree sort of starts to perk back up again. You can't undo the damage that will have been done to your tree, but you can certainly stop it from happening again. if it is something simple like watering or environmental or just one of the real basics. And like I said, from my personal experience and from discussions with a hell of a lot of people about it, it always comes back to the basic. You always start at the worst case, or you fear the worst. Like it's something that's going to get in there and destroy everything. But you sort of break it back and you start doing these basic little steps with what you do, and you find that you can work your way through the situation and come out the other end with a tree that's back on track. Yeah, sure, you've lost a little bit, not the end of the world. Okay. The other thing that I do would be, if you are fertilising and you see issues with your tree, straight away remove the fertiliser. There could be something happening from that as well. Tree in a weakened position, fertiliser really isn't going to do very much to it as well. You want to stabilise the tree, get it back on level ground, and then start to reintroduce the fertilising. Fertilising at that time is really going to do nothing. And it could be that, whatever fertiliser it is you're using, there's so many available on the market, it could be having a detrimental effect. It could be causing, fertiliser burn inside your tree. So getting that off the list and one less thing to worry about, then, by all means, that's exactly what I do. And you'd notice that so far I haven't talked about any kind of treatment plan. All I'm doing is I'm changing the environment that the tree's in. If it is a fungal issue and it's presenting itself in a disastrous way, then sometimes that can be too late, which is part of what the isolation's about, also changing the environment. But also, if it is something nasty, then you've got to get it away so it doesn't hopefully spread to another tree in your collection. Then I would go down the path of looking at, is it a fungal issue? If it is, jump on, have a look, Google the symptoms. You're going to be terrified with what you see, and you'll think it's the worst case scenario. But I always go to, I don't really go to Google, but I generally go to a lightweight, a trusted fungicide that I can use, something that's very, very mild, very basic, not going to do terribly much damage with it to the environment or to the trees, and then I'll have a look at it. One of the most important things that you've got to allow once you've done all this stuff is you've got to allow time to pass. You have to see the impact of what you've done before you chop to something else. It's the whole path process, that we go down with our bonsai. Chopping and changing these things too rapidly, it's not giving enough time to work. So you might find that, okay, I've changed the environment, it's been 3 days, nothing's happened, bugger it, I'm going to move it somewhere else. Oh, I've put the sphagnum on, hasn't worked, I'm taking it off, I'm doing this. Or I've sprayed it with this fungicide and nothing's happened, so I'm going to use that one. It's like you've got to allow time to pass. Things don't happen in trees at the same rate as what they happen for humans. We get a headache, we take some paracetamol, 15 minutes later we feel better and we go, oh, that's better, it's worked. Trees, you spray with a fungicide, you may not see the issues, you may not see the results of that for a 12-month period. So you really have to keep in the back of your mind that you want to stabilise things. You want to try and bring it back to a very baseline for how you care for it and monitor it. Get the moisture meter out again. If it is struggling, if the tree's going backwards, then the uptake of fluid is not going to be what it was when it was pushing that fresh growth at the start of spring. So your watering habits will have to change as well. We want to go back to that Goldilocks principle of, not too much water, not too little water. We want it just right. We want the watering to be perfect for our bonsai, so they have the best chance of not getting root rot. You don't want secondary issues to start occurring, which is common because something very basic has been happening to the tree that's caused this issue. So you just need to make sure that you're on it and you're monitoring it. Monitor it every day, monitor it twice a day. You can't do anything about it. Don't get frustrated, but maybe things like if you see foliage starting to wither or wilt, take photos of different parts of the tree. Maybe put a little bit of wire on it or something like that to know which one it is that you're taking photos of, and pick 4 or 5 around the tree and take a photo of it every couple of days and just have a reference check to look back and say, is it getting worse or is it getting better, or has it stabilized? Am I at my plateau now? And then keep taking the photographs every couple of days, every 3-4 days, something like that. and start looking for new growth. Is the tree starting to push again? Is there something else happening to it? And before you panic with needle variety bonsai, have a look and see, is it the new needles that are damaged or is it the old needles? If it's the older needles, it's less of a concern than what it is if it's the newer needles. Now, I say this as a proviso. There may be something disastrous going on, but all I'm encouraging you to do is not jump the gun. Don't put yourself in that position of stress where you're thinking it's disastrous, it's all over. It may well be, and I can't say definitively whether it will or won't be, but just don't jump to that worst case scenario every time. Go through these simple steps of how to monitor and manage the bonsai that you've got and protect the other bonsai that you have as well. And it might just be, without being overly dramatic, it might be a nice wake up call. Because, let's say it was something fundamentally simple like you're watering, this one little kick in the bum to say, hey, don't take your eye off me. We're going into some warmer weather. They're talking in Australia about this El Nino situation we're going to have for years of hot, dry weather. Maybe it's just that simple thing of you being reminded that, you can't get lax on these days. It's a lovely day to get outside and go and kick the footy or go for a run or whatever. But hey, I still need my water. I still need my basic survival requirements, and it's up to you as my custodian to make sure that I get it. And something like a little event like this, because I do call them little events. If it is something simple like water, yeah, sure, you've had damage. The tree will have gone back. You may lose branches. You may not lose branches, but it ultimately should survive. It should outlast these sort of events where if you get back on track with your care and your supply of resources to the bonsai, then it should come back. So don't panic about it. Go through this really simple basic check. When you change something, for goodness sake, give it time to work and just keep an eye on it and go back to the very simple thing. And always look to reach out to somebody like myself, because I'm more than willing to offer the voice of reason and just to try and calm things down a little bit and put it back in perspective, and then just allow time to go by, and then up your watering. When it starts taking it more, it's back on track. Its root system's starting to work. Transpiration's starting to work with it again. Reintroduce the fertilizer in mild doses. Increase that as well, and start getting back on track for where you need to be with your plan for your bonsai. Time goes by pretty quickly, really, really quickly. The more I look in the mirror, the more I think, where's it gone? I feel like I'm 21, but I'm clearly not. I wish I was sometimes. Might explain a bit of my behaviour, but anyway, time does go past, and if you've anyone who's got kids or has got relatives with kids, you'd know that you sort of see them and they jump away. Next thing they're grown up people and they're doing their own thing, and that's great. But I really strongly encourage you to be in the moment with your bonsai. There are frustration points, or there are points where you wish things would hurry up. That the plan would progress and you could rapidly grow things, and you could get to the next stage, or you could have this branch developed and you could do whatever. It really doesn't matter. But I get it. I'm there. I have to give myself a good talking to at times as well, but I do strongly encourage you it's easy. Hindsight's a great thing. You can look back on things and go, oh, geez, I wish I'd done that, or, that would have been perfect, 20/20 vision when you're looking back at something. But having trees sort of at multiple stages of development and in refinement, I can look back on a lot of them, and don't get me wrong, I love my trees that are at the pointy end. I really do. I enjoy them. But I enjoy far more working on stock that hasn't been touched yet, or that is having something major happen to it, or it's it's got something that has to happen with it. Like workshops I get with people when they say, "Oh, I want to do this. I want to." I did one the other day where it was this tree's had a bend put on it by someone else, and I want to stand it up and I want to straighten it. It's like, cool, I love it. Bring it on. Normally you get asked to twist these things around, but with the plan that this tree had to bring it up to, this literati style and the vision that the owner had. I love it. It excites me so much when you get to get involved with things like that and change it. You're undoing things and you're putting it on a new path. It's just as exciting as twisting it into a pretzel, So I love that environment. And I've been itching. I've had these juniper cuttings for years now, years and years and years, and I've been waiting to get in and work on these things. And I've recently been able to get in there and make some, major decisions on branch, on fronts, on trunks, on height of the trees, and some major bending. Like they're not masterpieces, and I don't want them to be yet. And I deliberately stop myself because I want to enjoy this process that I'm in. And it might be a year I come back to them, might be 2 years. Some of them I made a conscious decision of go through and make branch selections, prune back, make everything look nice, set a few sacrifice branches in place, and then leave them. Don't wire them. As long as the branches aren't sort of fouling each other and they're getting sunlight, then I can wait. I don't want to, it's like Christmas morning when you come down and you see the Christmas tree. You don't want to rip everything open at the same time. You want to savour it, You want to go through, well, I do. You want to go through them one at a time, open up, see what it is, and then, absorb that, enjoy it, and then go on to the next one, Don't be overwhelmed by it. So, I look around my yard and sure, some of them look much, much different if they had wire on them, and some I did wire, some I didn't. But I love the process, and that's part of what this podcast is about. That enjoying the moment and not rushing, not looking for that finish line. It's not a world record we're trying to set by doing what we're doing. We're trying to make sure that this bonsai journey that we're on, each of them unique and individual, is something that you can enjoy for a very long time. I see it where trees get to a certain point and then people lose interest in it and sort of get bored, and you might have a limit of the number of trees that you can get into your space that you have, and once they get to that point, and what do? You're just doing maintenance on them, and it's like, it's okay, but they look great. Your friends come over, they look nice, yeah, they do, still the same, nothing's changed, it's always the way it is, and I get it, I enjoy that. I love it too. I'm not being disrespectful to anyone that's got trees at that point. But all I'm saying is that if you've got stuff that's on the path, just stick to the plan and just absorb it. Just absorb it. I acquired these grafted pines, which I've talked about a few times, and I put them into some grow pots and repotted them, and they're in the fertilizing stage now, and they're all pushing new growth, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's one of those ones where I have to hold myself back. Physically I have to say to myself, you are not to touch these things until at the earliest next winter. And I think what I'm going to do with it too is not work through every single one of them. Pick half a dozen, work through those, put them on a path. For the others, it'll be the selective pruning side of things, and then I'll get to them in the future, because it's one of those things that I really want to savour when I get to it with my trees. And I looked at my pine growing bench, or my pine bench, it's not growing bench, but my pine bench that I have, and there's an array of trees from the finished, most beautiful trees that really have nothing to do. There's others that really just have sacrifice branches on a few spots to get them to that point. There's others that have got their key branches in place and they're working on secondary, and there's others that are sort of a bit shabbier that you sort of, I've got a nice trunk on them, but really there's not much else there to do, and the growth's a bit uneven, and I've been snapping candles on those ones, trying to balance it out a little bit more, and it's really enjoyable. I love it. I love it when I walk through my yard and I see that sort of eclectic collection, and when I have new people to my yard, they sort of look through and they go, "Oh, that one's magnificent. I love that. But what's this one doing? And why is that one got a branch on it that's sort of, a metre and a half long? What's that about?" And I love that part, that I get to delve into that, because if they all look like, little showpieces on a bench, everyone will go, "Oh, great, I'm never going to get there." Whereas, new people to bonsai, people that take that first step into my workshop, I really want to give them that warm embrace and say, this is what it's about. I've been doing bonsai for a long time, and I'm in no rush. They'll certainly get there. They're definitely on the path to getting there. But if it takes a few extra years, or it's a little bit longer to get it to exactly where I want it, rather than sort of clipping that finish line a bit early, going, that's good enough. That'll do. Yep, done, finished, perfect. Next. That's not what I'm in it for. And the feeling that I get, that's what I want to sort of portray to everyone else, is that, spring's one of those times where you could jump in early. You could prune everything on a tree and put it back on the bench and go, yeah, that's great. And I've had people in the workshop where I've had to say to them, this is not your spring pruning process on certain trees is not one to be rushed. If you get areas that push out that stronger growth, prune those back and then leave the little ones. Leave those tiny little buds that are just starting to pop in the weaker areas of the tree, or any area of the tree, inner areas. Just leave those ones alone, let them push out, and then come back to them in another month. Don't belt yourself to get it all done and say, right, that tree's finished, it won't need to be touched now because you're on a limited time frame or whatever. I just think that you can get caught up in the moment and maybe a bit bogged down with technically rushing through stuff, as opposed to getting back to what you got into bonsai for in the very first place. And that's well, for me it was enjoyment. There's a lot to it. There's the mental side, there's the physical side, there's the emotional side too. I get a lot out of it when I do achieve things with them. And achieving isn't awards at club shows or anything like that. They're all nice and well and good, but achieving for me is having a plan and then ticking it and going, yep, that one's done. Look at that, it's achieved that part of the phase. Now it's on to this next part. All right, well done, nice work. It's just that step by step thing that I get a lot of satisfaction out of, and I get I'm really fortunate. Like I don't take for granted where I am in life with my bonsai, that I get to work on a hell of a lot of trees with a hell of a lot of bloody nice people, really, really nice people. And I've said it so many times in podcasts early on that I don't know what it is about this love of these little trees in pots, but it certainly brings out the best in people. And it brings out the best people as well, from all different walks of life. I see them from everywhere. I see high-end corporates. I see retirees. I see tradies. I see everything. I see every walk of life where people, it's sort of whatever you are outside of the workshop, when you walk into the workshop, we're all the same. We're all just lovers of bonsai, and, tree lovers of the world, unite and take over. That's us. That's who we are, and we should absolutely embrace it to the very core of our being. And like I said, I just want to reiterate that this part of the podcast is, it's easy to get in a frenzy with your scissors and your pruning at this time of the year for spring for us in Australia. But just savor the moment and just think about where you want to get to, and think about what's best for the tree, and just stick on that path. It's not always about the Instagram photo. It's more about your enjoyment, and sometimes just drawing breath, sitting back, taking your time can actually get you there a lot quicker and a lot happier than rushing through. Another thing I want to bring up in this podcast is something which we've all got to be careful of. The bonsai that we have are valued not only to us, but they're valued to a lot of other people as well. And some of those people may take steps or measures to acquire your trees without your permission. And I want to talk about tree security. There's been a few thefts around the place lately. And it seems to be coming, well, they're always there, and a lot of the poor bonsai nurseries around our area seem to get flogged, which is really disappointing. Honest to God, it's horrible. I hate it because it can be one of those things that knocks the wind out of your sails and may temper your passion. It may make you second guess or second think about putting seed into the ground or taking cuttings, or it can maybe even make you want to throw your hands in the air and say that's enough. And that's disastrous for all of us in bonsai. We should be supporting our local bonsai nurseries, because without them, we are stuffed. We really need to make sure that that they stick around, because that's the future. I've been to places around Australia, one state in particular, which really doesn't have a lot of choice for bonsai nurseries, and it's tough. It's really tough. I think that the more diversity we have of nurseries and different types of nurseries, the better it is. But that's a whole another podcast, I suppose. I just want to talk about tree security. So there's a couple of different aspects to it. I want to talk about initially the environmental one that we've got at the moment, or all the time. Just make sure your trees are secured. I see lots of photos of trees that have been blown off or branches snapped off because they've moved or shuffled on the benches, and I find that wind is like I said, wind is probably my least liked element that we have to deal with, for that very reason, that it can be quite destructive. I've got this beautiful beech that had a branch come down on it, and I've repositioned this beech in my backyard. It's a big tree, and it took out the front side of the apex of the tree. Branch came down, smashed it, knocked it out. That's okay. I'll redevelop it. But having moved this tree in my yard to a different area, it's now a bit more exposed on one side. And every time I walk past, I look at it and think, really, thanks a lot, wind. All that work, all that development. But anyway, it's back on. It's not getting put in the bin. But your trees need to be secured. They need to be tied down. And I want to make that really clear, that coming through change of seasons, no matter where you are around the world, everything seems, we've always had wind, but things seem to be getting, at the pointy end now a lot stronger. So with warmer weathers, they're talking about stronger winds and all that sort of stuff. So go through and make plans now to tie your trees down. If you're wondering what to tie down with, there's lots of different things. Bucket loads. There's a million and one. As a fallback, if you use sort of, depending on the size pot, between 2 and 3 mil aluminium wire, it's not that expensive. A couple of straps around the bench and around your pot. Doesn't always look the nicest, but it's not too thick. It's not like big black strapping or anything like that. It's good. It's going to hold. It's not going to break easily. So I encourage you that, there's a worst case scenario. If you do that on your pots, it's definitely not a bad thing to do, and be prepared for it, because it's always the ones that you think, no, she'll be right. That won't blow off the bench. Guarantee you, it will. It'll happen. But the other side of tree security I want to talk about is just around your collection and where you are. There's I have a mate of mine who's involved in insurance, and when I used to get involved in the insurances for my printing business that I used to have, and I'd say, what if we did this and what if we did that? And he said, all that stuff only stops an honest crook. And it's true. If they want to get stuff, they're going to get stuff. But you've got to make it as hard as you can. Don't make it easy. Don't leave them on your front veranda. Don't leave them somewhere where they're highly visible. It's a real shame, because we should have these things on display for the world. They're magnificent. But just think about the simple basics of security for your trees. I've heard all this stuff about air tags and whatever else. They can get around it. People can remove these things, and I know that the police force or the law enforcement are fantastic, and they'll do whatever they can. But I'm not sure that your bonsai would be high up there on their list of priorities. There was a nice recovery the other day in Melbourne, apparently, for some trees that were taken and collected and got back to their rightful owner in a really timely manner. So I'm sure it does happen, but it's one of those things that I'd be thinking camera systems and security to the benches, and someone I know that had a collection taken that restarted it now has big chains around trees and padlocks and that sort of thing. So not the best thing in the world, but it is definitely something that you've got to be mindful of. And this is just the community service announcement to everybody that these thieves are around the joint. No one knows where the trees are turning up. You never would. So don't expect to get them back, but just try and do as much as you can at the front end to protect yourself and protect your trees from these nasties. But folks, we're done. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for listening in. Welcome to Daylight Savings. Anyone in Australia that has it, and those that don't, you don't know what you're missing out on. I saw something on the news the other day that one of our states, 64% or something of people want to get daylight savings in that state, and they're still resisting the change for it. But I love it, honestly. I reckon, give me. I know it's false economy, but that extra hour of walking around in the evening, especially around the trees, as the warm weather gets here, thongs on, shorts on, maybe a nice beer in hand as I'm having a look at my trees. It's one of the most pleasant experiences in my entire life. So bring it on. I love it. And for those supporters whose teams have lost, commiserations. Those that have won, well done. And you can all get stuff because my team's going to win next year. So enjoy your bonsai. Make sure you think about what I've said with regards to security. It's really important, especially primarily for wind, but also for the making sure they stay as part of your collection. Just do whatever you can and just be on your toes, because it's ramping up and getting a bit more nasty. Anyway, and don't jump to the worst case scenario. Reach out nice and early to someone like me. I'm always available on the socials. If you want to have a chat about anything bonsai related, you want reassurance, you want my 2 cents worth, please reach out as you have been doing, because I'm always available. Scott at bonsaimatsu.com if you want to email me as well, or just through Facebook or Instagram are probably the easiest ones, and I'll do anything in my power to help you as much as I possibly can. So thank you again to the subscribers. And I say that every week, but subscribers to this podcast really mean a lot, and they keep this thing pumping and on the air. So I am truly grateful from the bottom of my heart, and thank you once again. Another good podcast done. So thanks for sticking around. Until next time, happy bonsai.